Tying up another wet fly today from Ray Bergman's book Trout. This is the Irish turkey. It has a nice green floss body to it, nice yellow. That's a floss rib on there and yellow tail. Just some nice colors to it with a turkey wing and a brown hackle collared on the front. Pretty straightforward fly. If you've tied or seen any of the videos I've done, some of the other flies, wet flies that have the floss rib on them, this is pretty much the same. Just a handsome little fly. That's the Irish turkey. I'll get started tying. I'm going to start the Irish turkey with my hook and the vise. This is a Mustad 3399 in a size 6. I will debarb the hook. The body on the Irish turkey is a green floss. I don't want to darken it up, so I'm going to start out with a white floss. This is a Danville 70 denier 6/0 in white. I've already added some wax to the thread here. I'm going to attach my thread about an eye length behind the eye of the hook. I'm going to run this back just past the point of the hook where I'll tie in the tail. There's no tag on the Irish turkey. The tail is just some married yellow duck or goose. I'm using some goose here. You're going to want to get anywhere from 3 to 4 barbs for the left and the right isolated here. Take these out. We get those collected. Make certain my tips are even. To tie that in so it's about, I like it to be a little bit more than a shank length, maybe from the front of the eye of the hook to the end of the shank, or right behind the eye of the hook to almost to the bend. Tie that in, advancing my thread down the hook shank to the end of the body. I'll trim away the excess here. That is inside the body. Then I'll tie in my rib. The rib on the Irish turkey is some yellow floss. I'm using some Danville 4-strand Rayon in yellow. I'm only using 2. There's 4 strands in this, but for the ribs, I only use 2 on these wet flies. I'm not looking for a pronounced rib and rope on this. I'm just looking for the suggestion of some segmentation and maybe a little color. The body on this is a green floss. I'm using a Danville 4-strand Rayon in green. I am using all 4 strands for this size hook. This were, say, on 10 or 12. I probably would go with just 2 or 3 strands and not use the entire 4 strands. Put a little wax on my thread. I'm going to advance my thread forward. Nice touching turns to collect all that down to the hook shank. Give me a nice smooth underbody. And then I shall apply the green floss for the body and the yellow floss for my rib. you are wrapping in that rib, you want to give it a clockwise twist. That way the rib on this ends up looking more like a cord going around as opposed to, say, a flat. It would flatten the floss out. You want the look of a flatter rib, and I would possibly even just use one of the strands of yellow floss. Now I'm going to change over to my finishing thread, which is going to be a black. This is a Danville 70 denier or 6/0 in black. I've already put some wax on this as well. Now I'm ready to tie in the wing. The wing on the Irish turkey is actually a light mottled turkey. So I've cut out a left and a right slip here. I'll match those up. I'm going to try and match those up, keeping the tips together. And then what I'm looking for, as long as my tips are together, is how wide it is. I don't like it to be the gap of the hook. Some people do. I prefer it to be maybe about 2/3 to 3/4. The gap of the hook a little bit thinner. That's just my preference. I'm going to tie that in so the tip is just past the midpoint. And the primary reason I'm a little bit past is that when I tie this in, it's going to cock up just a little bit. This will be more right in the middle of the tail. Little pinch and loop. Tie that in. A few wraps to secure it. And we'll see how our wing looks. You want to be careful that this side of the wing isn't getting tied in so it's obscuring or coming down the side of the fly. I'm going to put in a couple more wraps to make certain that's good and secure, and then I'll trim off the excess. Bringing my thread down to behind the eye of the hook, I'm going to come backwards. This is just to secure in the butt ends, smooth that off just a little bit, and now I'll tie in the hackle. The Irish turkey does not have a throat. It has a collared hackle on it, and it's just a brown hackle. I'm using this brown hen that I have here, and I'm just going to pick a feather. I want to make certain that I'm only going to get a couple wraps of this on that will have the barbs for the collar on this. So I want to make certain that the barbs right in here are long enough to go from just in the head space to just past the point of the hook. Only get a couple wraps here, so I'm not using the whole feather. I'm just going to isolate about the midsection of this feather. A lot of that is just experimentation. Tie a few of these. You'll get to know the hackles a little bit better, and you get to know the fly and what you're looking for. Tie that in, bringing my thread down to behind the eye of the hook. I'm going to put a little bit more wax on this just to give me a little bit better grip. Take my hackle pliers. Like I said, I'm only going to get a couple of wraps on here. And I'm actually kind of wrapping this down a little bit in a open spiral so that I end up with this last wrap just behind the eye of the hook. I just don't need a real thick, bushy collar on this. Sweeping all of that back. I'll start wrapping in right behind the eye of the hook, bringing my thread backwards. This will start to form the head of the fly. I can pop the rest of that hackle off there. Keep going back just a little bit more, and that will give me, I got some frayed thread right there. That's what that fuzz is. This will give me a nice small head to the fly. I'm going to flatten my thread, put in my whip finish, a little bit of head cement, and then some black lacquer, and the Irish turkey will be complete. So as you can see on that collar there, I didn't want it to be really, really thick and bushy. I just want the suggestion here of some legs. If I had put in another turn of that, I would have gotten a much thicker collar on that. See if I can't separate that tail a little bit. Put some fly tight on here. That will soak down into those thread wraps and secure that very, very well. And then, like I said, I'll put a couple of coats of black lacquer on here to seal that up a little bit more and just help protect it a little bit more. I've got some thread. Here we go. I got some head cement in the eye of the hook here. So I'm taking a little piece of peacock herl I've got sitting on my tying bench, running that down through, and that'll clean that head cement out of there. So there's the Irish turkey. Handsome little wet fly. I imagine somewhat tied as a caddis pattern, but fun little fly to tie. Thanks for watching today. Thank you for joining me at the Vise today. I hope you learned a new pattern, at least a tip or trick here and there. If you'd like to help Dress Irons, you can like, comment, share, subscribe, all those wonderful things for the video. You can also head out to dressedirons.com where you can buy flies, tools, stickers, and merch, or you can join a growing community over on Locals at the Dressed Irons Fly Tying Guild. You can also donate to Dressed Irons if you want through the link at the bottom of the description. I thank everybody for their ongoing support, as it really does help the creation of these videos. But what's important is to remember, only fly tying. If you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong.